If your friends had to describe you to someone that you don't know, how would they do it? What words would they say that says, yeah, Crystal, she is.
If they had to I don't know. How would they describe me? Okay, so a lot of people think I'm mean when they first meet me. Um, I guess I could be I'm a Leo. So I guess that comes off when I first meet people. So they think I'm a little full of myself. But I think once you get to know me, I don't know, special. I think my
Special.
I think my friends who know me, they think I'm weird. So I would say weird.
I mean, if they don't think you're weird, are you guys really friends?
This
This
is
is
true.
that's the question. All of my family and friends who really know me know that I am a weirdo, and that's the comfort of knowing me.
I mean, if you can't be weird with our friends, then who can we be weird with?
I don't want to be weird in the dark with myself. Like, no, somebody else needs to experience this. But thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. I'm your host, Leah, and I am joined today by Crystal from lyfealigned Podcast. So this is Crystal from lyfealigned Podcast, and who also has a business called Life Crystallized. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I appreciate you for coming. I've enjoyed chatting with you, talking with you about different things, and even doing the morning meditations in February. Oh, it's been good knowing you. Like it's just been like such a like good feeling knowing that I have somebody who is doing great things in their business, great things with their podcast, and within your community where I can look and go, oh, she's doing it. I can do it too.
Yes. And that is really the goal in everything I do. I just want people to know that you can do it. What is that? Adam Sandler? Well, no,
Yeah.
not
Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider. Is it Rob
Rob
Schneider?
Schneider. Yes.
Yes, when they're in each other's
Do it.
videos, in each other's movies, they absolutely say that to each other. Yes.
Yes. So yeah, I love helping people realize that.
Yeah, it's such an amazing thing when we stop competing with each other and start learning how to collaborate. So I can call you and say, hey, I'm thinking about this. What are your thoughts, or how would you move forward in this? Or if you ask me about, business strategy tips, things like that, and we can exchange those ideas without hoarding the information as if you're going to be stealing my clients or my audience and vice versa. Like, no,
Absolutely.
our audiences may overlap, but ultimately we offer very different things to people. And it's in the way of self improvement, but we have different approaches, different groups that we're targeting. So we can absolutely all come to the table. We don't have to sit around and, oh, I'm going to build my own table so I can eat by myself.
Yes. And we have been trained to compete. I mean, we can take this spiritually, historically, however you want to look at it. We have been taught that all our lives. I mean, from grade school, when you start learning fractions, what's the first thing you do? You divide up a pie, whether it's a pizza or a pie or whatever, you're dividing up this whole. And that is the message that has been drilled into us forever. And again, this is me going off on a little bit of a tangent, but that competitive mentality is what keeps the masses where they are.
Mm-hmm.
But once the masses wake up and realize if we work together, we all would be so much better off. And
Socialists. No. Y'all don't go sit down somewhere. If y'all don't go sit down somewhere.
Goodness. Again, that could be a whole like a not an episode, but like an entire show, like an
Yes.
entire podcast by itself. But that's the short of it.
No, it's absolutely in that mindset of, if we have a pizza and it's cut into sixth, right? And I give you two and I get four, even though I have more, people get mad because they're not eating the whole pizza.
Yes.
You still have twice as much as the other person. Why do you need the whole pie? And just share. Just come on. And then if everybody puts in money, we can have multiple pizzas. Come on, guys.
And that is the secret. The secret is that there are infinite pies. We are never going to run out of pizza. When we finish this pie, there's another one waiting, and another one, and another one, and another one. We will never run out of pizza.
See, and people just think, I got to have everything, but they're not satisfied with anything. So, being content, that is the key. Learning how to be at peace with yourself, that is the key. Absolutely. We talk about people being competitive versus people wanting to collaborate. But one thing that I like is that in your podcast, as well as in your business, you offer tools to people to be able to level up, so to speak, in spirituality, in their mental state, in their physical state. Like you help them with those tools. How important is it that you refresh your toolkit when you are looking to build your business or make connections with other people?
So that is something that I am relearning, unlearning to relearn.
Okay.
And that is this idea, this understanding that by taking care of me, I am so much better able to take care of everyone around me.
Right.
And so if I give all of my tools, if I give all of my energy, and I'm not taking time to replenish, then there will come a time when that energy, that pizza is gone.
Exactly.
The pizza will continue to flow. It will be unlimited, but you have to take time to restock the ingredients. So if I'm not restocking my ingredients, I am going to run out. And it's going to be a problem for me and everyone around me. And I think the hardest lesson for me to learn, the lesson that I keep repeating, really comes down to my physical body.
Okay.
And that is something that I know is going to be a game changer for me, as I am being more intentional about caring for this vessel that I have been blessed with.
See, I think that, when we start to learn and become more self-aware, as we learn ourselves and become more self-aware, is like what we need, how we're going to get there. We start to learn that there's other things that we can use as tools and to help clear out any negativity. Just like, for example, one of the tools that has become more popularized is sage burning. And sage burning is a tool, just like prayer, that people use to help change up their environment, to clear out all the bad, bring in as much good as they can, and make them more aware of their surroundings. As far as I know, I could be wrong. You can correct me. I don't do sage burning, so I'm not. That's just what I've read about it and what I know other people talk about what they do with it. But sometimes people feel that they lack in resources or tools and don't necessarily know what they need or how to find it. So how do you navigate with starting a business, doing a podcast, maybe people in your family have not done a podcast or started their own business, and then you have to like forge ahead by yourself. How do you make sure that you have what's necessary to be successful? Are you doing research? Are you looking at your communities? Like how do you make sure that you have the resources and tools necessary?
That is an excellent question. And one I am still learning, particularly with the podcast. And it's funny because I have this podcast and I love my show. Like, I think my show is dope. I definitely, like, my goal, as I said, really is so my tagline is giving people the tools they need to create the lives they desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not exactly it, but that's along the lines. But my point is, like, I really, like you said, like, I want everyone to thrive. I want everyone to be successful. But one of the areas that I am learning, I'm not going to say I struggle with because I'm very intentional about my words. So I am learning how to grow my audience. Right now, I would like to grow it a lot. Like a lot. So I'm learning how to do that. But every time I think to myself, like, you know, I mean, I look at my dashboard and I'm like, nobody's listening. Without fail.
You better shout out those 30 people. Listen, you
Right?
shout out
Yes,
those 100
yes.
people. Whoever tuned
Without
in, you
fail,
shout them out.
somebody is like, you know, I listened to the show and XYZ, and I'm like, wow, even if I just keep on doing it for this one person that, you know, and so that is what motivates me to keep going, to keep learning, and I will figure it out. And one of the things that I need to, or that I will be exploring, will be learning, is how to grow my audience in a way that feels good to me. Because posting on social media 10 times a day doesn't feel good to me. Being on Twitter or whatever, like that, those things don't feel good to me. So how can I grow my audience? How can I build this business? Because I mean, people did it before the internet, right? People did it. I mean, even podcasts, people grew podcasts before social media.
Right.
But now, like everywhere you turn, it's like post. And like, there's another way. I know there's another way. I haven't figured it out yet, but I will. It's coming.
Yeah. I think that's so key though. Not every tool is meant for everybody. So like we talked about previously, you know, Lyfe Crystallized is a very personal, intimate, even though it's a business, it's an intimate experience because it's one-on-one. And you talk about personal things with your clients where you have to make them feel comfortable, you have to make them feel heard, validated, so that they can be in that space of vulnerability. Now, for Champions of Discourse, it's legitimate tips and tricks, like psychological hacks, and learning how to be better at or improve public speaking, or even confrontation, or dealing with conflict mediation. So those tips can just be for anybody. I can post on social media all day tips and tricks, but if social media is just so that you can explore your journey instead of you trying to advertise, because your audience may want a more personal approach. Yes. So it would be best if you had an email list, you know? And I think that some people, when they see other people doing whatever the thing is, oh, I want to do that too. But you got to see if that's going to fit you. Yes. Is posting on all social media platforms every day, 15 times a day, going to be the best? Or is it more important for you to turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, I have something that may be able to help you, you know? And so it's important not only to know how to identify the resources that you need, where to get the resources that you need, but you also need to know which ones are actually going to benefit you. Because we get stuck in this, oh, I'm looking and I'm trying to find, and sometimes it just doesn't work out because people get stuck in, I need to be like this person, or I need to do this thing like this person.
And that is key to, I guess, and one of the things that I have to really embrace is reaching out to people. Like I don't like reaching out to people. I don't.
As much as you like to talk, really?
I like to talk.
Okay.
But I
feel like all your New York just came out right there. I was like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
So, but yeah, and again, maybe that's the New York, Leo, whatever you want to call it. But like, I want people to find me. Like, I want you like, if you come to me, if you have a question or like give me the opportunity, I will talk all day. But for me, and it's this idea again, it's something that I'm working on. Like, I know my issues. This is one of them, feeling like I'm chasing people. So like I totally like love to learn from people who are where I want to be when I know them. But like me just reaching out and saying, hey, I see you're doing something I'd like to do. I have questions. Like, I'm not jocking you. Like,
I am absolutely that person. I will absolutely reach out to somebody if I'm like, oh snap, I really like what you do. Can we chat? Like I am absolutely that person. I do understand the idea of not wanting to chase people because you want to make sure that that energy is reciprocated so that it becomes more of a collaboration instead of you bothering or feel like you're bothering someone who may not be the best person to give you information on how they did what they did.
yeah.
And like for example, I get hit up a lot because it's like, Leah, how do you do it? Like you getting your numbers up on Twitter, like you're on Instagram, engaging, you're on Facebook, you go live, you post videos, you're doing this, and this. And I'm like, listen, like my co-host, the main co-host, my sister, she pretty much, I literally just respond. She'll make and post the videos and the clips and stuff like that. But I just respond to comments and IMs that I mean in DMs. That's really what I do on Instagram and kind of on Facebook. So it's like you can't measure what somebody else is doing and just like, oh, the finished product looks like this, they must be doing. Right. And you're compared to like your operation where you literally have to do it by yourself. And I'm blessed because my sister is willing to be in that and help. And and if there comes a time where she can't, she'll just let me know. And I know that, okay, I have to try to be creative in doing this or that. Or sometimes I'll call her and be like, hey, can you make sure you tag so-and-so? She's like, okay, yeah, I got it. And but I think that when we have these tools, when we have these resources, we have these people who are willing to help us, we can't get into that mode of just like comparing our process to somebody's finished product.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, we all are exactly where we are supposed to be on our own journey. Yes. I mean, we might be both traveling to Texas, but I'm going from Connecticut, you're going from North Carolina. Like, we're not taking the same route. We'll both get there, but we're not taking the same route. And the time might be different. There may be some people who you leave at the same time, you'll arrive at the same time, but that's not going to be the case for everyone, for everything. And understanding that your journey is your journey
Yes.
You can't, like you said, you can't look at somebody's finished product and think, they left 6 hours ahead of you. So yeah, they're a lot further along than you are. But if anything, try to look at their path and find out what detours they had to take, what roadblocks they encountered, and avoid them. But stressing yourself about not being where they are is not helpful in any way.
Mm-mm. And I think that people try so hard to be, they try so hard to get to the destination that they miss the lessons in the journey. And people, and I think the universal understanding of wanting to be grown is one of those things where I just want to be there already. Can I already be 25 in my own house with my kids and my dog and 2 cars in the driveway, living in the burbs or wherever you want to live? Or I already want to be traveling. I already want to be doing this, instead of looking at the journey and appreciating, respecting the journey that it's going to take to get there. Because, like, for instance, I was talking to somebody who said they wanted to be married, and I was like, are you sure? Because you're not really good with talking to people about your feelings. So you're going to have to do that when you're married, right?
Yeah.
There's some things that you gotta be able to do. Like, you can't just run around bossing people and say this and not care if you want to be aligned with another person, because 2 becomes 1. So how? Come on now. What are you doing?
Lifelong. Once you make that commitment, for as long as you choose to honor that commitment, that's work. It's just because then you're always learning. You're always, this is what's 2000. What is this? 2021?
2021.
Gosh. I'm like,
I literally was about to say 2012.
So yes, I am. This will be my 15-year anniversary this year. And yeah, it's all like, it is always a process. Like, I am always learning. I am always working on things. And I mean, there are some areas where we've been having the same argument for we've been together 16 years. For 16 years. We'll probably continue to have them until death do us part. But we made a commitment to continue to do that work, no matter how difficult and it gets uncomfortable.
It does. Listen, if friendships and familial relationships can get uncomfortable, being absolutely being with someone who you share a bed with, that is absolutely going to be uncomfortable a lot of times. Yeah. There are levels of vulnerability that I can't even begin to imagine. And I'm just
is more than anything, I think that is the most difficult part, at least for me.
Being vulnerable?
I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. That vulnerability. Because again, even after almost 20 years, I sound old when I say that. Even after all that time, it's still scary to be vulnerable with someone. It's like giving over that power, right? And we don't like to do that. We like to at least feel like we're in control. So yeah, it ain't easy. But it's worth it with the right person.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like in my friendships, my business relationships, I feel like there's any relationship that you're in, if you choose to work with or be with or converse with someone, there is a level of vulnerability.
Yes.
And recently, unfortunately, I've seen what happens when a relationship moves forward when the subject of trust is not addressed, and how hard that is. So whether you are looking for a mentor or looking to collaborate or looking to, use someone as a reference or a resource or have them give you access to a tool that they've used, there has to be a certain level of not just humility, but vulnerability to say that I don't know what I'm doing, or I feel inadequate when I do this, or this right here makes me uncomfortable, but I don't know where that stems from. Can you help me get there? Can you help me push through this or figure this out? Or can you show me this thing? And I'm learning how to practice being honest in that vulnerability instead of, because I'm a person, I'm pretty sarcastic. There was a period of time my sister was just like, you can't use sarcasm with me because I don't know when you're being sincere. And I understood that, respected it. And she's a lot since she's gotten older, she understands now the difference a little bit more. But it's just that, and even in that point, like she had to be, I had to be vulnerable in that to receive what she was saying. Yes. That, and so regardless of of where you are, if you want to start a business, doing a podcast, doing your artwork, putting your content out there, there's a level of vulnerability that comes with. But in being vulnerable, you get back, and you say it like it's a relinquishment of power. I think that is more of a strength to be able to give voice to where you are, and knowing that where you are in reality is not where you are mentally, and it's not really where you want to be. Being able to say those words and give voice to that thing, now we can have a way to resolve it. Now we have a way to move forward toward a resolution, to build something bigger.
And that is why I love doing the work that I do, because, you mentioned like sage burning, right? And I'm sure we've all seen the pictures on Instagram, Facebook, and it looks so pretty with all the sage and the crystals. And like, this is like spirituality in 2021. But it is so much deeper and so much messier than that. Like, it's not just, you're not just going to burn some sage, clear out the negative energy, and like, life is going to be grand. Like, no, that's the easy part. But it takes work. It takes like really getting into some really deep and uncomfortable things, processing some uncomfortable truths about yourself.
Absolutely.
And that is where I come in, like, for my clients. And that is where, like, helping them get through, first of all, helping them to even begin this process, right? Begin that process of self-discovery, of getting to the root of what is actually going on. And then being brave enough to say, all right, this is what's going on. It's here. How do I address it? What do I do about it? That work. And I mean, I know because I've been there, like, just bawling because I know what I'm being asked to do, but it's scary. It's uncomfortable. I like it. That stepping out on faith is real. Just helping people through that process, like, I absolutely love.
Yeah, it's such, and it's so rewarding when you can see people on the other side of it.
Yes,
it's so rewarding. Like, man, like, you're really doing it, and it's not anything to take. Like, I don't take, when I've been working with someone and they do well, I always like, hey, you're doing a great job. Oh, thank you for your help. No, you chose to apply it. I can lay out the tools, but you chose to pick them up and actually get to work. And, being able to be vulnerable in our fields and working with people to make sure that they are always progressing forward. And even if they regress a little bit, because regression happens, it does, we all go through it, but knowing that there are tools out there for us to use that we can regularly rely on is going to be much more important than us trying to scramble to figure out what's the next hot thing, because we can jump on, I don't even know what challenge is out right now. The silhouette challenge, or we can jump on the silhouette challenge, or the whatever new dance there is. Like we can absolutely do that, but the authenticity of who we are, what we offer, what we do is what's going to be unshakable. So it's not about replicating what has been done, but being authentic in what you offer. And when you're authentic in what you offer, as you start to walk in that, your resources, your tools will feel like they're falling out of the sky.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So true. And that's just it too. Like, I don't want anyone to be dependent on me. Like,
absolutely not. Oh.
I want to give you these tools. I want you to use them. And then I want you to, each one teach one. Like, you pass them on to your kids, your grandkids. Like, by me healing me helping you to heal you, because, and this is, so we talked about books and writing, and like one of my projects, one of my books that I have started is really this just really reinforcing this idea that we are the tools. Like, spirituality looks different for every, and I don't care, like, we could be in the same church, in the same pew, sitting next to each other. Your worship, your praise and worship is going to be different than my praise and worship. And there's nothing wrong with that. You might be an usher, I might be in the choir. And it's like, we accept that in church. Like, if we're all in the same building, we accept that we all have different gifts and that we can express them differently. But with anybody else outside of that particular building, outside that particular denomination or religion, then we get into this, that's wrong, this is right. And it's like, look, there is no right way to worship God, because God, we are all God. But again, that could be a whole other episode. But if you take nothing else away from my podcast, my work, my social media, like whatever it is I'm doing, if you take nothing else, I want you to know that you have the power, the tools, the ability to do whatever it is you are wanting to, trying to, desiring to do, period.
Absolutely. I feel like we forget that being created in his image and being like his reflection, that we have power to create and do what anything we can imagine, because he goes above and beyond that. We're like, well, I imagine having this, and this, and God just comes and just blows your mind like
all the time. Yes.
I was doing this thing and God is like, go ahead. I'm gonna let you think this small. And then before you know it, it's
yes.
It is just like, well, Lord, I did like, I reached like 10 people, and then you come back and it's like, yeah, but 1,500 though.
Yes. Yes. And that's
what?
I mean, if you really think about all of your major accomplishments and the way you envision either achieving it, the way you envisioned how it would be, I mean, like 100 times out of 100, when you get it, and I mean, let me be clear, I mean with things that you're are actually like for your greatest and highest good. Because yeah, we get some things that we think we want and it's not what we thought it would be. But
Yes,
those things
exactly.
that we truly like, truly speak to our soul. I mean, it's like when it happens, when you get it, it's like, oh my gosh, like I would have never thought, but the way it happened was just like, oh my gosh, so much better than I could have expected or even dreamt of, or, you know.
Yes. And that's why the journey is so important.
Yes.
That's exactly why the journey is so important. I remember like 5, 7 years ago praying about the woman who I had become 2 years ago. And I was like, Lord, like I want to make sure that, I speak life into situations, and I'm willing to be more vulnerable and listen to people, being able to not just dish it out, but able to take advice and able to help people. And I wanted to be able to quote scripture. I wanted to know scripture, like rightly dividing the word of truth. I wanted to be able to do all these things. And just like, people who use sage as a tool, like prayer is the communication that I have, and that's a tool that I use, that's the resources that I have, right? And going through all of what I went through to become that woman, and I'm even better than I was before, being in that. And I remember having that thought, like, this is who
Yes.
this is who I prayed to be. Like, hold on, wait, what? Girl, you did it. And but going through all of that stuff, there was a journey behind it, like to get there. I didn't just wake up and I became her. I had to work at it. I had to read, like, not just go off of Jesus loves me, this I know, but like I had to read scripture. I had to travel to meet different people, to build up that patience, to learn how to communicate with people who were different from me, to learn how to be like one thing. And I told my sister, I said, I am so glad about one of the things in our childhood that really came out of it, not just a loving family, but knowing, because we were a big family, we didn't always, like, the attention was spread across 10 different kids. So we had to learn to be resourceful if we wanted to get something. And at the age of like 15, I knew that I could make money braiding hair. If I needed money to buy whatever it is, I wouldn't necessarily ask my parents for it because I can make my own now. And it's just like that learning how to be resourceful and wanting something bad enough to know that regardless if anybody shows up, regardless if it's handed to me or not, I can go and do the thing.
Yes.
I will learn how to do it, and I will learn how to execute it. Yeah.
Knowing that is, I mean, because that's the other thing about envying what someone has. You have no clue what it took, what they did to get there.
Exactly.
And you see the pretty pictures on Instagram. You see the snippets, like the curated journey that they want.
All the filters in the world. Oh, let's get a shot. Don't get the dirty stuff in the back.
Have no idea the muck and gunk they had to wade through to get where they are. And that is one of the things that I really, really like to talk about and like to really have people understand. It's like it is not all glitter and sunshine. It's not. But if you are willing to wade through the muck, I promise you, when you get to the other side, it will be like, oh my gosh, nothing you could have ever imagined.
Yeah. It's I haven't even made it there yet, but I know because of past experiences that it's going to be amazing. I have set that expectation. I have the intention on being able to handle and experience how awesome this journey is going to be. So I am so, so happy that I got a chance to talk with you. And this has been such a great conversation. I want you to tell some people in my audience a little bit about you, where they can find you, any plugs that you would like to do.
So, you can find me, and I try to make things very simple because I don't like looking for things. So I don't want you to have to look for things. Um, Lyfe Aligned Podcast, and that's Life with a Y. So in everything, Lyfe is with a Y. So it's Lyfe, Lyfe Aligned Podcast, available on all platforms, wherever you stream your podcasts. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, say so. On Instagram and Facebook, Lyfe Aligned Podcast. On Twitter, it's Lyfe Aligned. And I give people tools they need to create the lives they want. So I really, and I try to touch on everything. I talk about spirituality and just really living your purpose. I have mine, Leah has hers, and we might meet somewhere in the middle, but at the end of the day, we all have our own purpose. We all have ways to do things that work for us. So I want to give you the tools you need to live your purpose. So I talk about all, whether it's me by myself, sharing a little bit of my journey, what I'm going through, and how I am living my life in alignment, or talking to guests about how they're living their lives in alignment, or maybe they just have some information, tips to share that will help you along the way. And my other business, my main business, is Lyfe Crystallized. So again, that's Life with a Y. Lyfe Crystallized on Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. Lyfe Crystallized. And they both have websites as well. So lyfecrystallized.com or lyfealignedpodcast.com. And Lyfe Crystallized that's my baby. And so I do tarot readings. I do energy healing. So if you're into a little bit more of the woo, then that space is definitely for you. For February, I am doing, well, it's closed now, so I won't even mention it, but but I do have a 12-week course coming up in April that is currently open for enrollment. So if you are interested in just really gaining some tools, gaining some knowledge that will help you live your purpose, that will help you achieve your goals, that will help you clear some mental, spiritual, energetic blocks that are keeping you stuck where you are, and really step into I like to call it the zone of abundance. This place where feel, are sure that you are living in abundance, whether it's financially, in love, relationships, whatever area in your life you're feeling like there's any lack. I'm going to help you get out of that, step into that zone of abundance, and just know that you can create whatever it is you are trying to create. So yeah, that is me, a little bit of what I do. Again, if you follow me on any platform, go to any of my websites, then I explain it in a lot more detail.
I would like to add that in February, I did sign up for, it was a 28-day boot camp of meditation, and I am not an early riser. But in a previous episode that I did with Mike from Whack Brackets, I talked about how I wanted to take a leap and do something different because I don't want this year to be the same. So instead of doing the same thing as I did before, I'm taking this whole month. I only missed one day. I missed the first day because it was time zone difference. I didn't account for the difference in hours. But I have been consistent. I have been writing. I have been it's been such a good experience to wake up to meditate. And just like anything else, it is a tool and you use it how you want to use it. And I've chosen to use this tool to help me focus what my intentions are, where I'm going to put my energy, so that as I start my day, I can have a focal point. So it has absolutely, and it's only been 9 days. I mean, it's been 10 days, but I've done this for 9 days, and it has been absolutely, like, I look forward to it now. It's something that I feel is absolutely helping me. So if you can, absolutely go to lyfecrystallized.com. Make sure that you sign up early for enrollment, because I feel like it's going to be a full packed event for 12 weeks of meditation, of tools, of explanation, everything, girl. All of that's coming. And I'm really, really, really excited for you, because if you're successful, and I know you, some of that's gonna rub off on me.
Listen, I am sprinkling that success dust everywhere.
That's gonna rub off. I get to rub elbows with successful people, and it just makes me feel more successful. So, it's never a competition of hoarding anything. It's cool because I can just share the love. I can share tips and tricks and be like, oh, well, how did you do it? Well, how did you work it? Well, let me figure out. And it's just a great thing. So I truly appreciate you. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. Please make sure to follow us on all social media at Take a Space Pod. That's Take a Space POD on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hopefully we'll be able to have Crystal back for our live on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. 8 p.m. Central time on YouTube and Facebook. We will be so happy if you can stop by. Make sure that you also follow her on all social media. The links are going to be in the description box or wherever else links are supposed to be. That's where they'll be. So make sure you follow her. Thank you so much, Crystal.
My calendar to be there.
Yes. Bye, guys.